Loving welcome to everyone. The theme for today's retreat is the yoga of ahimsa. Yoga means yoke or union, union with the divine, union with our own inner peace. And ahimsa, as we know, means nonviolence. It means to do our best not to cause injury, harm, or violence in our thoughts, words, and actions. Many of the problems that we're facing on Earth today, as we all know, such as drought, deforestation, ocean devastation, climate crisis, animal suffering, disease, domestic violence, and war, are all reversible. So I am here with a message of hope this afternoon. And just like Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream, I also have a dream. And I have a dream that we can shift our collective consciousness from this model of violence and domination to love and cooperation. The SAD diet, which consists of meat, fowl, fish, dairy, and eggs, is one of the major causes for heart disease, cancer, obesity, autoimmune disorders, and a host of other illnesses. By choosing a GLAD diet, we can reverse all of that. Few people are aware how connected our dietary choices are with the effects that we're experiencing right now. My beloved teacher, Swami Satchidananda, his guru was Master Shivananda. And Master Shivananda, my guru's guru, said, our thoughts affect our words affect our actions affect our habits affect our character, and our character affects our destiny. So it's through our thoughts, words, and actions that we create our destiny, and it's through our thoughts, words, and actions that we can recreate our destiny. And that's why I'm here today, to shine the light of awareness on the ramifications of our dietary choices, how they affect every aspect of life, and how when we choose ahimsa, meaning nonviolence, but if you take the opposite of that, that would be loving kindness. So when we choose as a lifestyle loving kindness in our thoughts, in our words, and in our actions, we really can reverse all of these problems that we're experiencing today. And so I'm going to share with you my 10 compelling reasons to choose a compassionate vegan diet. Number 1, I'm going to start with animal welfare because I am an ethical vegan, and the reason I became a vegetarian was because of my deep love and care for all sentient beings. Up until the age of 11, I just thought that hamburger was something that came in a cellophane package from the grocery store. Just like you and over 95% of other Americans, I was born into a meat-eating family where eating meat, fowl, fish, eggs, and dairy was typical on our menu. And I really didn't connect the dots of what it is. And so I remember the definitive moment when we were around the kitchen table and we were having a conversation. And my brother said to me, oh yeah, didn't you know that hamburger came from killing a cow and grounding it up, and that's how they make ground beef, and that's what they make hamburgers out of? And I really did not know that up to that point. This was before the internet, when all the kids knew everything, okay? So I wasn't aware of that. When I heard that, I was just repulsed, sickened, in shock. I really just truly could not believe it. So I thought, no, this really isn't possible. So I went to my mom, my authority, and said, my brother said this is what comes from. Is that true? And she said, yes. She said, yes, it is true. And I said, well, my mother, who I endearingly call Magic Jeannie, I said to her, well, do you remember when we were little and Daddy taught us if there was a spider not to kill it, but to put it in a jar and take it outside? And I said, well, how can we not kill a spider, but kill a cow? And I think that each one of us has what I call a truth meter in our mind, body, hearts, and souls. And when my father taught us to take the spider outside, everything in my mind, body, heart, and soul truth meter said yes to that. I knew that was loving and kind, and that was reverence for life, and that resonated as my truth. And I think each one of us has that truth meter, which has been shut down to a large degree, but we are now reawakening it, which is the good news, and helping others to reawaken that natural, instinctive, loving kindness, which is our very own true nature. And we all know it because when something is loving and kind, serotonin is released in our brain, which is the good feeling chemical, and we all feel good. And did you know that when someone does an act of kindness, not only is serotonin released in the brain of the individual who is giving that act of kindness, but also is released in the brains of those receiving it, as well as anyone witnessing that act of kindness. So really, our nature is peace, love, compassion. So I was faced with this dilemma. I never heard anything about vegetarianism, never even heard of one single vegetarian. But I said to my mother, well, how can we be killing these animals and eating them? And my parents were very good-hearted, very loving people, very intelligent. And she just said, I'm just trying to give you a well-rounded, a balanced diet, and this is how I was fed, and this is how our whole culture eats, and this is what doctor recommends, getting your protein, your carbohydrates, your minerals, your vitamins. And she was really, truly just trying to do the best for her children. So I know that people who eat meat are good people, because I was one of them. And I just didn't realize what I was doing. And I think it's a blessing in disguise that I incarnated into a meat-eating family, because having been there and done that, knowing that I'm a good person and my parents are good people, and so is everybody else. We just don't know any better, so to speak. But that's why we're all here, is to remind each other and to become effective vegan educators so that we can share this message far and wide, which is one of the reasons I'm so grateful to have this videotape today, so we can go on YouTube and out to hopefully countless souls to get this message of loving kindness. So 56 billion animals are killed every year for food. These animals are in factory farms, which is literally concentration camps for animals, the most horrific, cruel conditions you can imagine. These conditions are so terrible that they are disease-ridden, and animals are routinely injected, sprayed, and fed with antibiotics, insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, just to keep them alive. This is all based on supply and demand. So basically, the reason that people are doing this is because we're hiring them to do it with our voting dollar. Every single bite that we take is a vote for loving kindness or cruelty, for compassion or for devastation. And so it's really up to us with our voting dollar to cut down the demand so that they'll stop supplying it. It's really that simple. Every vegan saves over 100 animals per year. So in my short life, I have saved over 5,000 animals. And we can all contribute to the end of animal abuse, animal suffering, animal slaughtering by choosing the GLAD diet, which consists of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes. Even though most people are more familiar with the animals that share our homes, such as dogs and cats and parakeets, the animals used for food are just as intelligent and can feel just the same as the animals that are on our plates. I have a friend recently who her cat of 15 years died, and she was grieving, and it was truly like a family member had died. It was the being that she lived with for the last 15 years. Well, really, scientists have discovered that pigs are so intelligent they can play video games, and chickens, their intelligence is compared to that of monkeys. So really, this discrimination against which animal is something we can take the blinders off and give the same love and compassion toward all animals that we do toward those whom share our homes and our beds. Okay, so now compelling reason number 2, world hunger and starvation. It takes up to 16 pounds of grain to make 1 pound of meat. So if that 16 pounds of grain went directly to the people, we wouldn't have any starving people on planet Earth today. John Robbins, in his excellent book that changed my life, that came out in 1987, entitled Diet for a New America, said that if Americans cut down their consumption of red meat by 10%, world starvation could end today. It's such a minor change for such a huge benefit. Imagine being a mother in Africa or some poor third world country and your baby is dying in your arms from malnutrition. It is so unnecessary. It is so preventable. And a lot of these so-called hunger projects, which I honor their good intentions, but they're going about it in such an ineffective way. It's something like if water is spilling on the floor and you're mopping it up, but you're not turning off the faucet, you're not getting to the root cause of it. Some of these people who are so active in these hunger projects aren't even vegans. But if we went vegan by such a minor adjustment, world starvation could end today. So by choosing the GLAD diet instead of the SAD diet, we can all help to put an end to starvation and hunger-related diseases. According to the United Nations, 21,000 people die of starvation every day. That means every 4 seconds, someone on planet Earth dies of starvation. And if our planet went vegan, that would be some dark history we would have all awakened from, and that is my dream. Compelling reason number 3, water. 40% of the world is facing water shortage, 50% of which goes to the meat industry in the United States. It takes 2,500 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of meat, where it takes 250 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of grain. So every time you eat the GLAD diet rather than the SAD diet, you save hundreds of gallons of water. So all this drought that we're facing on planet Earth would just be history. Okay, compelling reason number 4, deforestation. Animal agriculture accounts for more than 80% of deforestation. 50 million acres of Earth's forests vanish in a single week. A piece of rainforest the size of 10 city blocks disappears every minute. Over 3 million acres of U.S. forests have been cleared for cropland to produce the SAD diet. The cost of mass-producing cattle, poultry, pigs, sheep, and fish is spreading the destruction of our forests on which our planet's life depends. Trees absorb carbon dioxide and give off oxygen. When trees are gone, life as we know it on Earth will also be gone. By choosing the glad diet rather than the sad diet, we can reverse the destruction of forests and reduce global warming. So, since trees are the lungs of our planet, if you value breathing, wouldn't now be a good time to go vegan? Okay, compelling reason number 5. Global warming, climate crisis. So many people are doing marches and petitions and are up in arms and deeply concerned about the climate crisis, which basically means that the ozone layer surrounding the Earth is rapidly deteriorating, and this results in the greenhouse effect and in global warming. Cattle, as part of their digestive process, release methane gas. And that's the largest source of methane gas into the environment. The international meat industry accounts for 18% of all the world's greenhouse emissions, more than all transportation combined. That means cars, trucks, motorcycles, trains, planes, boats. More than all of that combined is the greenhouse emissions that are going into the atmosphere from the result of these imprisoned animals in factory farms. By eating the glad diet rather than the sad diet, we can heal the ozone layer and we can significantly reduce global warming. So that's the good news, is that we already have the solutions. Compelling reason number 6 is pollution. The vast majority of animals used for the sad diet are imprisoned in factory farms, and these imprisoned animals produce 20 times more excrement than the entire human population. Also, because they are fed, injected, and sprayed with herbicides, pesticides, antibiotics, or, you name it, all that toxicity goes into the water. And all of that waste goes into our water untreated. 60% of U.S. waters are impaired. 80% of all organic toxic waste is attributable to the meat industry. So if you eat the glad diet instead of the sad diet, that can all be reversed. Compelling reason number 7, energy. It takes 8 times more fossil fuel to produce animal protein than it does a comparable amount of plant protein. The sad diet accounts for 33% of all fossil fuels used in the United States. So if we choose the glad diet, meaning the vegan, loving-kindness, ahimsa diet, we can cut down our imports of oil, and we can increase renewable energy such as wood and hydroelectric by 120%. And then we wouldn't have any energy shortage, either outwardly or inwardly, because we'd have the good energy from eating the ahimsa diet food. Compelling reason number 8 is health. The 2 leading causes of death in our country are heart disease and cancer. The major causes of heart disease is high cholesterol, dietary cholesterol, and saturated fat. The sad diet is high in cholesterol and saturated fat, whereas the glad diet is free of cholesterol and low in fat. So when you choose the glad diet, you are significantly reducing your risk of heart disease and cancer. So do you have people in your family that you love and you want them to be around for a while? Hey, why not get Will CD, give it to them, and have them change their dietary choices so that you can have them around to interact with for a while. This reminds me of a cartoon I saw about a patient was meeting with his surgeon, and the surgeon said to the patient who had heart disease, okay, you have two choices here. One choice is I can cut open your leg, I can pull out a vein from your leg, I can cut open your chest, I can insert that vein into your heart region, I can sew up your chest. Then you'll be restricted to bed rest for 1 month. Or, option 2, you could go on a vegan diet. And the patient said to the doctor, gee, doctor, a vegan diet, that sounds radical. So that's really the situation of all of us, because it's all preventable. Dr. Dean Ornish, who also studied with my teacher, Swami Satchidananda, he was the first medical doctor who scientifically documented that heart disease, the #1 cause of death in this country, can not only be arrested, but reversed through 4 components. And those 4 components are yoga, meditation, low-fat vegan diet, and group support. So all of this heart disease and cancer is completely reversible through lifestyle choices. Okay, so what happens over time is that this saturated fat and dietary cholesterol impedes the blood flow to the heart. And then that impedes the blood flow to the other organs. And this contributes to sexual malfunction. So if you really want to have an active, healthy, ecstatic, romantic, intimate relationship, going vegan is your best Viagra. Next, hormones. Because these animals are routinely given hormones, animals are given hormones so that they grow faster and fatter, and dairy cows are given hormones so they produce more milk. When you eat that flesh or those milk products, those hormones go into you, and that wreaks havoc in your hormonal system. So if you want to have hormonal balance, choose the GLAD diet. Also, when we're being an agent of cruelty and we're ingesting this biochemistry of terror and misery, that contributes to depression, to anxiety, that contributes to obesity, to high blood pressure, to arthritis, to poor sleep, and many other host of ailments. So by choosing the GLAD diet instead of the SAD diet, we improve our health. We have more happiness, more mental clarity, more vitality. And also keep in mind that obesity is such a huge issue in our society. Over 50% of Americans are overweight or obese. And keep this in mind. Vegans are, on the average, 20 pounds lighter than non-vegetarians. So if you want to just naturally balance and come to your ideal weight, you do not have to count calories. Just choose a vegan diet, and your body will naturally balance itself for the body type that you are. And so all this obesity, overweight, that can all be reversed through vegan diet. Whenever surgeons do an autopsy for heart disease, heart attacks, it always comes out the same result: saturated fat and animal protein. They never pull out carrots, tofu, or broccoli. So if you want to have a healthy heart, and you want to have a healthy body, and you want to have mental clarity and happiness, and live in accordance with your true nature, that ahimsa, then go vegan. Okay, number 9 of my 10 compelling reasons is nutrition. The GLAD diet has no cholesterol whatsoever and is low in fat and provides ample protein for our human body temples. Whereas the SAD diet causes an excess of protein. And what our body temples do to neutralize that excess protein is they leach. The body leaches calcium from our bones, so which contributes to osteoporosis. So even though milk is purported to be this pure white substance that makes your bones strong, let me bust that myth right now, because the opposite is true. It makes your bones more brittle and more weak by leaching calcium from them in an attempt to neutralize this excess protein. Also, it contributes to kidney failure. Many people say, well, where do you get your protein? And I'll tell you, friends, if you have a whole foods vegan diet, it would be impossible not to get enough protein as long as you get enough calories, meaning a 2,000 calorie diet per day. I was doing some research for this particular presentation, and I saw on the internet that 10 power-packed protein foods, and here they are. Pumpkin seeds, asparagus, cauliflower, mung bean sprouts, which is Swaroop's specialty, almonds, spinach, broccoli, quinoa, and peanut butter. I mean, peanuts. Did you know that peanut butter and jelly on whole grain bread has more protein than a hamburger? Well, it does. So if anyone says to you, where do you get your protein? That whole myth is just such a joke. Be informed and let them know the truth about that. So the 10th and final reason of my 10 compelling reasons to choose a compassionate vegan diet is it's the right thing to do. What is best for us is best for all the life support systems upon which we all depend. Ingesting biochemistry of terror from the SAD diet, which is based on violence and domination, contributes to domestic violence and to war. As Tolstoy said, as long as there are slaughterhouses, there will be battlegrounds. And as Paul McCartney said, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everybody would be a vegetarian. So I have a dream, and my dream is that we shift the collective consciousness from being a meat-eating culture to a vegan culture. And how are we going to do it? This is the key point. I'm going to use the analogy of acid-base titration. If you have two containers, one is acid and one is alkaline. If you take alkaline and you put it into the acid, and you take another drop of alkaline and put it into the acid, and we take your drop and your drop and your drop and your drop and all of your drops and all of the ripple effects of all of your drops, what happens is the acid reaches critical mass. And when it reaches that point, it becomes alkaline. So how are we going to cause this shift in consciousness, this message of hope? If you are a non-vegetarian, I would encourage you to move toward being a vegetarian, even if it's Meatless Monday, even if it's weekday vegan. Whatever you can to move in that direction, go for it. It's helpful. Secondly, if you are a vegetarian already, go vegan. If you are vegan, become a thriving vegan. And if you're a thriving vegan, become an effective vegan educator. When we choose the GLAD diet, it is what is kind to the animals, to the environment, and to our own health, to every ecosystem on planet Earth. So I would like to conclude my sharing with you this afternoon with a quote from the Talmud. Kindness is the highest form of wisdom. Thank you. Om Shanti and Namaste.